As usual, I am Dr. Luis Fonseca, U.S. Navy Hospital Corpsman with 22 years of active duty U.S. Navy. During my tenure in the Navy, I was involved in the Battle of Al Nasiriyah, and for my actions on that day, I was awarded the Navy Cross. Tonight, we are missing our other co-host, Nate. We love you, brother. We understand that you're taking care of some business, and we look forward to having you on the next episode. As usual, all of our views and opinions that are expressed here are ours and ours only. We do not speak for any department, any companies, unless we specifically say that we are representing those companies. Um, Doc Berry is a board certified psychoanalyst and psychologist, but he is not here to provide any type of medical diagnosis, treatment, and or plans. As always, we encourage you, if you are feeling any thoughts of suicide, mental health distress, or anything like that, please consult your primary care physician or your mental health team. Tonight's guest, we have a wonderful guest tonight, Lance Price. He is a retired HM1 Hospital Corpsman First Class. He served with the Marine Fleet Marine Forces and also was an independent duty corpsman. Lance Price is a decorated Navy veteran with remarkable story of service, resilience, and transformation. Lance began his military career in 2000 and attended Navy boot camp and was sent out to the fleet as what we call undesignated. So he didn't really have a specific job when he hit the fleet. But that didn't stop him. His motivation proved his work in the Navy, and he was meritoriously promoted to E4. And I'm assuming, Lance, that's when you struck as a HM as well, too, right?
Correct. I came in something called a GenDAT program, but yes.
Okay, awesome. And he was promoted, Medicis promoted E4 while serving at sea. Over the years, Lance has held various critical roles, including senior line corpsman at the School of Infantry in 2002, here at Camp Pendleton, right? Where he honed his skills and laid out foundation for his future leadership in medical operations. Lance's service has taken him across the globe from working alongside the RIB boats. So RIB stands for Rigid Hull Inflatable Boat. Those are the black boats that y'all might see special warfare carry around, especially during um, school. But anyways, he served with the RIB boat team, Special Warfare Unit 3 in Bahrain, and completed his medical training with OEMS in preparation for multiple deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. He served as a senior line corpsman for 4th Medical Battalion and later reported to Independent Duty Corpsman School here in San Diego, California, graduating in 2010 and joining the 1st Battalion, 9th Marines, The Walking Dead. His time with this unit was deeply impactful, forging unbreakable bonds with his fellow service members through both victory and tragedy, including the profound loss of 7 comrades during a training mission in 2013. Lance medically retired in 2018 due to combat related injuries. Lance has faced his own personal battles with traumatic brain injury and post traumatic stress disorder. Despite these challenges, he has found strength and purpose in being the co owner of SFH, or what it really stands for is We Are Still Fucking Here, which is a clothing, apparel, and a group born in April of 2021 with the hopes of making the world a better place. His team made from very different backgrounds, yet they all share the common theme in their lives is that they are still fucking here. From bombs in Iraq and Afghanistan to health scares, addictions, and substance abuse, they have all endured. Their struggles made them who they are, but their stories brought them together to create We Are SFH. And Doc Barry, before we let our guest come on, introduce yourself, please.
Hey folks, my name's Andrew Barry, also known as Doc Barry. I am a psychologist and psychoanalyst, and I specialize in working with veterans and first responders fighting with post traumatic stress disorder in my private practice here in New York. And noting that we are just about at the end of September,
Mhm.
which is Suicide Prevention Month. Lance, since you've obviously, according to Louise's introduction, had to fight your way up Mount Everest.
It was a
What
fight.
makes you? Yeah, looking forward to hearing as much as you're comfortable telling us.
Yeah.
And whatever made you come on with us tonight, sir, the floor is yours. Go any place you
No,
like.
I appreciate you guys having me on. I mean, the main reason why, first, I mean, I've known anyone who's been a corpsman knows who Fonseca is. So we've kept in touch for many of years, and then just to have this opportunity to hang out with you guys and just share a little bit about myself. It took me over 10 years to get out of that darkness, Doc Barry. So yeah, and I'll share as much as you guys would like to share. That's one of the things that I home on, and my co-founder Tyler Southern Hounds on too, is there's no question that's not worth not being asked. So please ask away.
Hey, man, how you feeling?
I am golden, but so starting uh pretty much gave my career in a nutshell. When I got out, I continued to struggle with my TBI and PTSD to the point to where I almost took my own life. Uh, and luckily, I made 3 phone calls that night, and no one picked up the first 2 phone calls. And that third phone call, I picked someone that I didn't think would pick up, but they did, and showed up in my home and took the weapon away from me and took it to their home and contacted my wife and did all the things that I needed to be done. So that right there is one of the reasons why I'm still fucking here. Um, I, during my bouts of PTSD with many of us in our military career, we mask it with alcohol, or we mask it with other things, or we mask it with adrenaline. I did all of those things for a while, but I didn't know it was masking. I thought I was living, until and then the further you get in that hole, the less you realize that you're not living. You're doing the opposite.
Yeah.
Uh, and as much as people are trying to help you, you cannot see it when you get that far down in that hole. Um, Go ahead.
I always throw in like a more specific kind of question. PTSD and TBI mean different things to different people. If you're comfortable,
Yes.
for you, what is TBI? For you, what is PTSD? Go ahead.
Oh, so from what I have been explained, it's a combination of the two that really gets me going. So traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress, the combination of the two literally puts you at war inside your head for a very long for even now I deal with it to a point to where those negative opinions are being thrown at you left and right, and you have to look past them to realize, look, this is just my brain playing tricks on me. I'm really not a bad person. I really didn't screw that up as bad as I think I did. But it took many, many years in therapy, one-on-one therapy, and I got the opportunity to get the SGB shot for PTSD, which also helped me tremendously with my voyage. Are you familiar with that one?
Are
Are
you
you
asking
familiar with that shot?
Doc Bear?
Which I haven't heard. I was going to say, which one of us are you talking?
I wasn't sure if either one of you have heard of that specific shot for
The
PTSD.
not for PTSD, no.
Okay, so the stellate ganglion block, which I'm sure you've heard of that before, but basically you're doing a ganglion block into the neck, into the fight or flight nerve, and the theory behind it is it puts that nerve to sleep, and when it wakes back up, it's not as irritated, so it's easier to handle the effects that you're dealing with the post traumatic stress and the TBI. That gave me enough strength to realize I was in that hole and realize that I had a support system. I just wasn't utilizing it because I was so deep in that hole, I didn't see them.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, and once you start seeing that support system is there and they want you to get better just as much as you want to get better, it changes your view of things. you actually want to stay around again, because there for a very long time I just felt like it was better off if I disappeared, and that was the way I felt. So
Now, did you feel that you were better off if you just disappeared because you felt like you were a burden to your family, or was it because you were just dealing with so much pain you didn't know how life could go on without this pain? All of the above.
it was a combination. Yeah, it was a combination. It was, I can't take another pill because I already feel like a zombie. It was, well, I can't do anything because I'm on all these pills and I feel like a zombie. I'm not doing anything for my family. I'm just here and my family's having to take care of me. And yeah, like the burden of just being kind of a vegetable, because to a point, I mean, you can allow things to become so debilitating that you become literally like a vegetable, like a zombie.
Absolutely.
When when the answer that you get every time you go to get treated is, well, let's add more medication on
Mhm.
top of it. Okay, so now it's not helping me fix my problem. Now you're just making me a zombie so that I can't complain about my problems. No, I'm going to complain loud, and I'm going to be loud about my mental health so other people can be loud about their mental health, because I sat there and just took all these freaking pills for long enough. There's other ways out there, and taking medication is not the answer.
Right.
So, and that's where, like I said, I didn't realize that I had a support system, and then once I
Mhm.
did, it was time to go. Let's help these other people out of the hole, because doggone, I don't want them to take 10 plus years like it took me. So, and that's, I mean, and that's where our heart and why we do what we do at this point. I like to say I'm there. They said, "Oh, you served." I like to say I'm still serving. As long as we're
Right.
here in humanity, we should still be serving. We serve each other.
Yeah.
So, and we look out for each other. It's all about that pendulum. We got to move it the right way.
Right, right. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of like I tell when some people tell me the same thing, like, Luis, man, it's still great that you're kind of serving in your own way, right, or giving back
absolutely.
to the Navy and Marine Corps team, because we both come from the Navy side of the house. I'm sure people that are giving back to the Army and Air Force get the same one directed to their branch of service. I tell them, yeah, I still am serving. I just get to grow a beard now and grow my hair out. You know what I mean?
Right. You just
So,
get to serve in a different capacity. Yours
right,
just kind
right.
of ran down from your head. It was scared up there, so it had to come.
And it became a lifetime supply of free dental floss.
There you go.
So
Oh,
to
wow.
to to backtrack a little bit,
Yeah.
Lance, where did you enlist from?
Okay, so I went into the Marine Corps in '97.
Okay,
Um, and I was a very short lived. But I did go into the Marine Corps in '97. But then I went into the Navy in 2000, and I went into the Navy out of Atlanta, Georgia.
okay,
Yeah, I believe is where my MEPS was and everything. And then, of course, I went through a short Navy boot camp because I had been through Marine Corps. And
okay,
then I went, there was no openings for Corps School at the time. So I went what was called a GenDet program. And you go undesignated for up to 18 months on the ship. And if they don't get you to your C school within those 18 months, it's a breach of contract and you were done. You could get out. So a I think I got meritoriously promoted at 15 months, and then was on my way to Corps School at 16 months in. So I
okay.
got so I got to go to Corps School as a fleet returnee. So there was some, you know, extra preps there. You could actually go out in town and stuff like that. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, then I went to the School of Infantry for a few years, which is actually the same place that I left the Marine Corps at. So my first duty station was the same place I left the Marine Corps at. It was School of Infantry. Uh, got to do 13 months in Bahrain. I was with 4th MEB AT Battalion when I came back. Spent most of my time at Camp Lejeune. Um, played with them, and then deployed multiple times with 1st Battalion, 9th Marines. Open the colors and close the colors with that, or with that unit. So that was pretty cool to see, like both unveiling and closing of the colors was
Yeah,
really
that
neat.
we'll have to get into that a little bit
Yeah.
after this, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got that opportunity with 1-9 right before they closed the colors of 1-9. I went to 2-8 for like a couple of months before I left to go to a float training group, where I got the great opportunity to work with some of the greatest IDCs and senior ranking Navy members there are in California. With that being said, they realized that I was still struggling very hard with my PTSD and TBI. Now, at this point, I'm sitting in a cubicle with 8 other IDCs. It's kind of hard to cover it up. like you said,
Right.
8 other independent duty corpsmen, which are the same as a PA in the civilian sector. So
Correct.
basically, we work underneath a doctor's license. I
It's
realized
a
I did
Navy.
that. Thank you, Doc Barry.
It's the Navy's workaround on how to put more providers out into the fleet without having to pay college students, basically.
Pretty much. So the frontline PAs, they can be more bullet sponges because they don't get paid as much.
Very true.
So but at a float training group, I had the opportunity to revamp the wound casualties on the ship with those IDCs. So we rewrote the new battle wounds for shipboard now. They sent me to a Milage class. We did everything. We did all the injuries. We explained all of them, wrote the book to go with it, and all that kind of stuff. That was a huge thing for me to have the opportunity to do, because guy being Marine side now goes to a float training group that's Navy and has to go check out these medical facilities in the ships that he really doesn't know much about, and make sure that they're doing everything right to go underway. So which underway is out to sea. But yeah, and then at that point my senior chief had a nice long talk with me and said, "I see what's going on with you. My retention got really bad. I was not being able to retain things that was being asked of me. Is where it got at." And finally, he's like, "This is at 18 years, so you're at that struggle. You're like you want to finish
Right.
at 20." But he convinced me that it would be easier for me to heal if I accepted the medical discharge and began my healing outside of the military, because he felt that as long as I was still in, I was never going to heal. And I appreciate him being that blunt with me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that has to, like you said, man, at 18 years, that has to be a hard pill to swallow, right?
absolutely.
Because you're like, dude, if I've made it this far, what's 2 more fucking years to now? And please educate all of us. At 18 years, you're medically retired. So you don't get a pension like I do, right? That I did
I do.
20 plus years.
So I get 100% disabled,
Right.
because when they medically retire you, you automatically get 100% PNT. Well, not
Right.
automatically, it takes a few months, but you get 100% PNT. And then because my wounds are combat related, I get the kicker.
Oh yeah,
I would get about the same amount that I would get as a retired. Yes.
right. You get that
Luckily with
combat,
me.
the
Yeah,
combat
the CRSC.
CRSC, right? Yeah. Okay, makes
Yep.
sense.
So, and that puts me actually a few dollars over what my retirement would have been.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I
So
know, like we all say, man, when you've played the long game, right, and you're
Yep.
basically there at the finish line, I'm part of like some Facebook groups that are like first classes, right, and
Yeah.
you see that come up quite a here and there. You'll see first class, like I'm at 16 years, 17 years, I'm being put on the med board, and you can kind of see the the anxiety as they're typing away, right? To ask the other
Right.
fellow first
No.
classes, like, what are your thoughts? What should I do? But it's good to know that I don't know why the way you explain it right now made the light bulb go off. Like, oh, that's what CS is, or CRRC, whatever it's called, right?
Combat related something compensation. I don't know what that
Right.
stands for.
So, Doc.
Yes, Doc.
For what it's worth, when I do Nexus letters for friends of mine as well as my patients, there's often a great deal of hesitancy about, am I worth it? I could think of so many guys who had it worse and so on and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. And it's quite a long process to get them resolved to why it's a good idea to do that. And one of the biggest selling points is, okay, yeah, you're going to be doing it for yourself, 'tis true, but you're going to make it easier for the next guy.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, I look them right in the eye and I'll say, this government needs to know the true cost of war.
Right. No, I agree.
And that's usually pretty effective.
I agree. And that's why I tell all my veterans, I tell anyone, that's why I tell them to heal loudly. Because get heard so that the others don't have to take so long to heal. Heal loudly. Scream from the mountaintop, whatever's going on with you. If it's gonna help me help someone else and not, like I said, not have to stay in that darkness for 10 plus years, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I mean, you say, 18 years, like I said, right as I was getting out in California, I almost took my life. My wife had went home, had came here to Florida to take care of some stuff. We were getting
Mm-hmm.
ready to, move here and all that kind of stuff. It was me and my service dog, and I got in my head just those thoughts that you're talking of, Willie, is, well, this is all I've known for 18 years. I don't have anything to fall back on. What am I going to do? What is my worth? Do I have a worth? You know what I mean? All of those questions going through, and then you
Yeah.
throw alcohol on top of it. Man, what I'm doing myself. What was I doing to myself? You know what I mean?
Right. It's like they say,
Hindsight 2020.
the perfect recipe for destruction, right?
Yeah.
But yet we think, I think in our society, I don't know, it might just be what do they call it, Doc, in psychology, where you have a very biased view because it's what you do, right? So like I feel like America is very much does normalize, like, just get fucking wasted to deal with your problems. You know what I mean? And so yeah, it becomes very easy to just sit there and be like,
It's a
well,
social norm.
yeah.
It becomes a social norm, so it makes it harder for those who do not. Go ahead, Doc. Sorry.
Well, it's a social norm, but also I'll riff off another idea that as we get older and older, we hear more and more of. And it goes kind of like this. Well, if these fuckers just had some common sense, okay? Louise has heard me
Right.
say this many, many times over. If common sense actually existed, nobody'd be talking about it. Now, let me expand on that. I'm in my practice 40 to 45 hours every week. It's kind of the way I like it. It's grueling. It's the only time when, life makes 100% sense is when I'm
Right.
sitting in that chair, right? All right. So I do this so much that I go clinical at the drop of a hat and I'm not even aware that I'm doing it. So that I wind up speaking clinically to people and they're already getting that dazed, phased, hazed, glazed, and somewhat amazed expression on their faces. And I'm thinking to myself inside, Jesus Christ, what's the big deal here? This is all common sense. And I have to stop myself and say, no, dickhead, it's common sense to you because that's all you do.
Yeah.
Riffing off back to the idea of when you grow up in the when you're in an environment long enough where everybody is relying on a beer can or a bottle or a whatever to get
To
them through
code.
the night, that becomes the quote unquote norm until you realize that it's killing you or till somebody points it out or something, God forbid, absolutely terrible happens. I hope that
Yeah,
all made
absolutely.
sense.
No, it makes perfect sense to me.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, Lance, you had gone out the Navy. You said you were sitting uh in Florida with your service
Mhm.
dog. Um, and that's when you had your suicide attempt?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
my wife out of town, we were at the apartment, it was just me and my dog and my thoughts, as I like to say, and, me and my dog and my thoughts and alcohol, that's not that addition was unnecessary, so it got me to that point and everything, and that was when I made the 3 phone calls like I was telling you, um, and someone from my unit that I was surprised to show up showed up, and I still tell him thank you to this day because I would not have known that there was ever gonna be a point to where I am where I'm at now.
Yeah.
I didn't see a way out of that darkness, I really didn't.
And and you said it took you about 10 years to kind of get out of that darkness that you're describing. What happened 10 years ago that gets led you down that dark tunnel?
Well, I mean, it was just repeated combat experience. My TBI was due to a blast where my sergeant and corporal got thrown into me from the blast, pushing us backwards, shaking my brain around a little bit, uh, type deal. There's not one key thing that stands out like this is my darkness. It's all of them kind of run together at this point because I deployed, I believe it was from '06 to 14. I was either doing workups or I was in the dirt. So, and there was many occasions and many things that I saw as a doc that I could pinpoint things on. I could tell you many stories. I could tell you about the IEDs that they would send their kids to touch to put the wires together because they were scared to, and then you just watch these two kids go in a mist,
Yeah.
stuff like that, because the parents wouldn't go do it. And then, and, you know, the kids were hard. I would say that was the hard ones over there were because they were put in situations that they didn't need to be put in. And they did it because they knew if they didn't, their feet were literally going to be held to the fire.
Yeah, literally.
Literally. So there was a lot of that. There was a lot of anger when I got home from each deployment because you've seen all of that over there. And then you
Hmm.
see the petty things and the petty way that people tend to do things here in America. And you're like, why? Why are you acting this way? You've got all of the things. There's people over there that have none of the things.
Hmm.
And I mean, and they just want peace, but all they've known for hundreds of years is war.
Yeah.
And all we've known is peace. And I don't think people get that. America has known peace. Tell me what other countries can say they've known peace.
Right.
Most of them are war-stricken countries. So, a lot of that, coming back and just not, seeing all of that, the way that people struggle in all those other countries, and then coming home, and and for the longest time, I was just angry at society. But then I realized, like, anger isn't the answer. So why don't we figure out what the answer was? I didn't know what it was because I was still in that dark hole.
Hmm.
Um, and it took um, before I got help. I think that's where you're going with this. What ultimately got me to get help is I woke up in the middle of the night with my hands around my wife's neck,
Mm.
unknowing and scared to death when I woke up because I couldn't believe what was happening.
Right.
And then again, felt like a horrible human
Yeah.
being again, and I couldn't control it. Um, and then it just but this woman my wife, I've been with for 21 years. She stood beside me thick and thin. She has known that it's always been the post-traumatic stress when I get in these tyrants. She knew it was a TBI. She knew that the real me was somewhere in there, so she never gave up on me. And I mean, but not every veteran and not every person has that, and that's why we've
100%.
built That's why we build a community like SFH, because we want to let you know, even if you don't have that, family doesn't have to be blood.
Mhm.
Someone is here for us. Reach out. There's someone, that person, like I said, that third phone call that I didn't think was the person that I called that third person thinking they would not answer because I had already made my decision up, but they
Yeah.
answered. So now I want to answer, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Wow. What
So,
a very powerful and thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing such a
absolutely.
intimate and vulnerable part of you and your wife's story. Um,
Absolutely.
that
I
takes a
mean,
lot of courage and bravery. But like you said, we share our stories for that one person that might feel for whatever reason, because I think we've all felt this way, right? That we're the only ones that deal with this shit in our head, right? No one understands it. No one's going through the same thing I am. And the more stories you hear of people that have gone through the exactly same shit, right? The, eh, everyone's eating the same shit sandwich, right? But no one
not
thinks,
as much of an oddity as I thought I was.
yeah,
Darn. All right. So we
yeah.
can work on this together. Oh, wait. This goes back to the whole humanity thing. Maybe we're meant to work on this together.
Right. Right. No, absolutely. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and then when we share our stories, like you said, of recovery as well too. I've always loved that. Goes around all of social media quite often, especially I think I see it a lot because I am part of like a lot of sobriety groups and mental health groups, but it talks about, we recover loudly so others don't
Yeah.
have to suffer in silence,
There
you
you
know
go. There you go.
and to me that's always been such a great l- you know uh uh line, I think it hits
Slogan.
directly.
It's a slogan.
Yeah, good slogan, right? There you go. That was the word I
Yeah.
was looking for, but I think that's very powerful message. So thank you once again for sharing that. Now, if you wouldn't mind, you did put in your bio that were on a mission where you ended up losing uh
Oh,
a few
absolutely.
guys.
Not a mission, training
But
evolution.
training evolution, that's right.
So, yeah, during our cold weather training, we were doing mortar fire and we ended up double feeding the mortar tube and losing 7
Mm,
Marines and hospitalizing 11. Uh, and that it's more traumatic for something to happen training because you're in combat, you're expecting it to happen and everything like that. And in training, you're not so much. The group of go ahead, sir.
What does it, for those of us who don't know, I think I know, but I'm not sure. What does it mean to double feed a mortar, and what happens when you do that?
Absolutely. Thank you. So a double feed is basically you have a tube that your mortar missile goes into. Okay. You drop it into a tube, it's spring action, it pops up and it goes up. Now, if you drop another one on top of that tube, they can burst inside the tube. When they burst inside the tube, they become just a shrapnel object that just shoots shrapnel all over the place. And that's what happened.
mm.
So, yeah,
Conceptually, what happens is a mortar becomes a grenade.
correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
go
So,
ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt, but a lot of people are going to wonder the same thing
no,
unless we
no,
put
I
it in our.
appreciate it because you don't think about it when you've been in the service, but then
Yeah.
it takes someone like you to say, "Hey, nope, you let's back up a little bit." But yeah, and a the Marines that were lost were Marines that I had just came back from deployment with.
Mm,
Um, so we had a bond, and it's rough, and every year in March is still rough. Uh, but again, like my buddy Tyler says, and like I say every time we speak to a group, as long as we're still fucking here, we're here for a reason. We can either do the good or we can do the bad, and we choose to do the good and to share what we have went through to hopefully be a roadmap for others to get through quicker. It's just living in a situation where when you go out and the first thing you do is you find the perfect corner to set up at with your service dog in between your legs. You're checking every single body in that room. You know who's carrying, you know who's in a bad mood, you know all these things, and you're freaking exhausted. Did you enjoy yourself going out? No. I was too worried about all the other stuff that I shouldn't have been worried about.
Right.
But like I said, you have combat for so many years, your head is just constantly on that swivel. It's hard to readjust back to society. And my thing was I was like, I just want to deploy again. I feel normal on deployment. Let me keep deploying. I'm good. Why can't you just no, this isn't good for you. We can't allow this to continue to happen, which is kind of where the downfall happened.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So,
It's funny that you just said right now, no, just let me deploy again. That's where I feel good.
yeah.
That's where my normal is, right? And talking about integrating, you said talk about integrating back into society. My wheels started turning. It's like, well, you're right. We can operate in unnormal environments, right? But when we come into a normal environment, we're so out of water. We're so, it's we don't know how to operate here. We don't know how
You
to
you you start looking for abnormalities that are not there,
100%.
and they start becoming there mentally to you. At least they did
Mhm.
to me. And it's just not a good road to go down.
No, no, absolutely, it's not, man. And so, you said this was in March that this incident happened. Did the corpsman with those Marines get injured as well too? Was he an
Yes.
HN?
Yes. He was my baby dog. Yeah.
I
So,
met him 2 years
I have
ago.
a I'd love to tell his story. So this guy, baby dog, holds his mouth, his jaw's gone, okay?
Yes, Doc Barry.
Holds his airway open, like so, and continues to take care of Marines.
Yes.
Has someone take a safety pin and put it through his tongue, through his lip, like he was taught
Mhm.
by yours truly, so that he could continue to take care of his Marines as he held his jaw like this because it was just hanging.
Yeah.
So I did not get to firsthand see that, but my baby dogs that were there with him saw that, and it was amazing. And I love telling that story because that's like a proud papa story right there.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and
So
you should be. So I met him, and I think we're friends on Facebook as well too. I'm almost positive. Uh, I've only met him one time, and that was at a 1-9 reunion
okay.
that was here in I think it was in Temecula. They had it,
Okay.
and so he was there. No, I'm sorry, it was in San Antonio. They had the reunion in San Antonio.
Yes. Yes. He
That's
was at one in San Antonio.
That's the one I went to. So I met him there with some of the Marines that were there as well too. And
Hmm.
hearing it from them firsthand is remarkable. And I do know that the young I mean, who wouldn't, right? Who would not walk away from that and have their own demons to fight with,
Yeah.
and I haven't spoken to him in a while. I will admit that, Lance, but I hope he's doing well, and I hope he's getting the help that he
Yeah. I
rightfully
mean,
deserves. And
I don't talk to him often, but it's like every 3 or 4 months, all of a
Mhm.
sudden I'll hear from him, and then another 3 or 4 months come
Right.
by. But there's a lot of people that I served with that are like that. But hey, just to let you know that I'm still here, but we don't get to talk much. But everyone's got lives that they're trying to take care of outside of the
Yeah.
military too, because everybody hopefully is opening a new chapter and not being stuck in that old one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question that I like to always ask other fellow healthcare providers, right? That have walked down our path with either the demons, PTSD, um, using coping mechanisms in a negative way, whether it's alcohol, drugs, sex, gambling, doesn't matter, right?
Right.
Um, do you feel any part of your profession kept you from wanting to reach out earlier than before it got to the point where it got to?
Hmm. TBI most likely, because I didn't get actually diagnosed with it until uh, later, just for the fact that the incident that it happened on, I was the doc, so I took care of my Marines, and a lot of stuff didn't get documented on me, so that's why they didn't find out until later on. Hey, you probably have a TBI on top of your PTSD. So lo and behold, I had a good one-on-one counselor that found that out, that it wasn't just the post-traumatic stress, that there was really something going on in there too. So,
So
but
the way you're framing it for you, a TBI, by the sounds of it, sounded like a major, ultra major concussion.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So, I think all of us in the medical field, uh, at times feel like we can help ourselves. Oh, we've had the training, we can figure it out. Uh, we're wrong. Whoever's out there listening, we're wrong. You can't. As many books as you read or as many things that you try, there's others out there with much more knowledge for a reason. You
Yeah.
cannot do it on your own. So I think that's the biggest thing that I took out of all of it is you can't do this on your own. I think that's the reason why it took me so long. I
Hmm.
tried to shelter everyone else by trying to take
Yeah.
care of it on my own, which in the same time, what I was doing was making life hectic on everyone else and myself and not even realizing it.
Yeah. And
So,
you can push a lot of good people away as well too, right?
oh,
And
I lost a lot of good people because of my outburst and because of
yeah.
my everything was positive and then that switch that just flips and everything's negative about the same thing. And
Hmm.
people don't know how to handle that and they don't stay around.
Right. And,
Yeah.
and and as well, even the people that I want to say, I don't know if to say like they don't know how to handle it, but also there's those that have repeatedly said, "Hey, Lance, hey, Luis, I'm noticing this, man, and I really want you to help yourself. Go get help. Go, like after a certain time, they're gonna get tired of sounding like a broken record as well, too. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why I've never held any ill feelings or any grudges towards anyone that I felt might have had to walked away from me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No, absolutely. I mean, I feel the same way. If people have walked out of my life during my bouts with my trauma and my mental health, it's been my fault.
Yeah.
I can truly say that now. It was
Hmm.
most likely my fault. Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, that's that also just shows tremendous growth on your part as well too, to
Yeah.
be able to take that accountability and say, you know what, like, yeah, I totally screwed this up. I wasn't the friend or the
Yep.
loved one that they deserved, and they had to protect their own self as well, right?
Yeah.
And and have to walk away from my toxic behaviors,
Yeah,
because
absolutely. And you become a toxic environment.
mhm,
Yeah. At that
yeah.
point, you really become a toxic environment. But we choose to become that toxic environment and put ourselves in that dark. That's what took me so long to understand. We chose to put ourselves there. Why? Anyway.
Well, because I think, and I can only
It
speak
was
for myself.
easier. I think it was easier.
I think it was easier, and like I said, I can only speak for myself, but I think a lot of my story resonates with your story. What resonates with a lot of us, right? Is not only was it easier, but it was our cultural norm. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, we're all getting drunk, we're all dealing with our bullshit, right? It's just some of us just took it way past the limit, past the, there's one thing, where everyone kind of gets together on a, I got you, doc, where everyone gets together on a weekend to let off steam, cook some burgers or some steaks, and people are getting drunk. But when you're literally coming home straight from work, having to stop at the store to buy your booze, and now you're sitting there just getting wasted drunk by yourself every night, like that's a big difference, you know what I
It
mean?
is. It's huge.
What's up, Doc Barry?
The way you guys are describing this kind of stagnation, right?
Mhm.
Where the symptoms get worse and worse and worse, and you're not interested in changing them, you don't know how, you, et cetera, et cetera. What I'm wondering is, within this context, does this kind of stagnation, as you guys are talking about it, become something like a badge of honor?
I think some of them, yeah, absolutely. That's where I think the whole disgruntled grunt or disgruntled Marine comes from. Yeah, some of them,
Right.
absolutely. Or feral Marine, or what I think that's where all that comes from. And but the thing is if you want to be in solitude the rest of your life, then go that route.
Hmm.
But most of us don't want to be in solitude just ourselves the rest of our life. We want companionship, so don't do that route.
Right, right.
Hey, you should mention, funny you should mention that. Nate, oh God, I wish Nate could be here with us tonight. He sent Luis and I a very interesting look at what sobriety means.
Mhm.
And the guy in the clip was saying or the opposite of addiction is not sobriety. The opposite of addiction is companionship.
Yeah.
Yes, I can agree. So my addiction spout was I can definitely agree with that because my addiction spout was earlier in my career, right after my first marriage, which was anyway, we went to my ex-wife was a winner. So I got lucky. I found the right one the second time though, so we're
Good.
good. So but yeah, my drinking was just to cover up that. I grew I grew up in a household, Southern Baptist, and divorce was not a thing. And
Mm,
I got married to someone that I should have never been married to, but life happens, and we're young, dumb sometimes. And she was abusive from the get go, and finally in less than a year, we were divorced. And then I started drinking because I thought, again, I had let my family down in some form or fashion. So that's when I took to alcohol. I probably drank from the time I got off till the time I went to sleep for a good 15 months, probably. Uh, Finally met the love of my life, now the love of my life, 21 plus years. Uh, and she pretty much gave me an ultimatum. She's like, I don't know what your problem is, but if you want to date me, you got to put down the alcohol. And I was like, yeah, whatever. uh, but she didn't want anything to do with me when I was drunk because I no one was right but me at that point. Let's
mm,
just put it that way, and she didn't wanna be with someone like that, and I don't blame her. Um, and she stood by me again, and helped me through it. She didn't just, like, leave me to sink. She's like, "Look, I really care about you and everything like that, and that's why I'm asking you this, but the amount you're drinking is just not good." And she would know because she grew up in a household like that. So I respected what she had to say. And she has been that sounding board for me for 20 years, and I'm lucky to have it. But like I said, not everyone has a sounding board.
right.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. Everyone deserves to have some type of relationship with someone that they can tell everything to, and that the other person is willing to be completely honest with them no
Hmm.
matter how many tears fall or anything like that. You just have to be that way. And that's the environment that we've built with SFH, which was supposed to start as a clothing and apparel brand, but now has become a community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think as well, most importantly, you have to be receptive to
Yes.
accept that either guidance, criticism, whatever you want to call it, right? Um, because without being open and receptive to it, then I think that can also build that anger or animosity within us. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Um, because to go back a little bit to Doc Barry's question, do you kind of carry it as a badge of honor? I know I did, right? Um, it absolutely didn't start that way. It would start off with,
But you also get this feeling because Marines make their docs feel awesome.
mhm,
Let's just be honest. Marines make their docs feel awesome to the point that you feel a like Doc can't get hurt.
mhm,
Doc's got to take care of his Marines. So Doc can't be hurt. Even if Doc's hurt, he's not hurt.
mhm,
You know what I mean? And that's kind of the
mhm,
mentality that you get because
100%.
who else is going to take care of my Marines if I can't take care of them?
Mhm.
We're at
Yeah,
a forward operating base. It's only me.
100%. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you're right, right? I mean, I share a lot of times, you when people ask about my journey, I remember from the moment I went to Corpsman A school, right?
Mhm.
What other branches of the service are going to call your MOS school. When I went to Corpsman A school, from that moment on, it was ingrained in anyone that was going Fleet Marine Force. You got to be better than your Marines. You got to PT better than them. You got to be able to hike better than them, shoot your weapons better than them. You go to Field Medical Training Battalion, now what it's called, Field Medical Training Battalion, Field Medical Service School when we went
I
through,
don't even
right?
know what it's called now.
And
It changed a few times.
yeah, and even then, more so there, right? It's ingrained in you that Doc has
Mhm.
to be almost larger than life.
Yeah.
And I know that drove for me personally, especially when I was with my Marines, it drove a lot of my actions.
Yes.
Yes, I did PT pretty well, and I PT'd probably uh, had better PT scores than probably 90% of my Marines. Yes,
Right.
I carried double the gear that you guys carry on our humps or hikes, whatever you want to, field
Yep.
marches, whatever you call them in your branch of service. Um, yes, while they're sitting down and resting for 10 minutes and
I'm
hydrating
the
and
one
change,
checking all of them, walking
I'm
up and down every single one of them, checking
you
their
know what I'm
speed, making sure
saying?
they're not, yeah. Yep.
100%, right? And then, like I said, for me, where it started becoming more of a badge of honor, vice a badge of embarrassment, was, oh, that's Doc Fonseca. Man, that dude can outrun you. He can, out PT you. Then he can go and fucking out drink you like that, dude. You want to get drunk? Like, go with Doc Fonseca. So then that kind of became like my other badge of honor.
Yep.
Um,
You
but
got
it
it.
was
Yep.
it was really
Because
just
everybody
so,
wants to go drink with Doc. Yeah.
mhm. Oh, and especially after in my own personal story, especially after you get an award, right? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Where it elevates you a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
and then yeah, so it became that. It became that badge of honor. What's up, Doc Barry?
It's a medical condition, gentlemen, and it's called young, dumb, and full of cum.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Right?
Like
Yeah.
that goes back to that hindsight 2020, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there, sir.
But yeah, and like you said as well too, Lance, Doc doesn't get hurt. Even when he is
Right.
hurt, he's not hurt because he's taking care of everyone else. And
You know.
I know I've shared enough, but
Now
when I
will
asked you
Doc
the
go back? Does Doc go back to his rack and cry maybe at night? Oh yeah, most likely, but not in front of you. Hell no.
right, and that's why maybe I asked you earlier too, like did any part of you being an HM prevent you from asking for help or seeking help or advice?
Oh,
Because I know for me it personally was, you know what I'm saying,
oh yeah,
because of that.
because yeah, I did not seek my I didn't seek help until that incident happened with my wife. That
Mm,
that was the final straw. That was like, you cannot. The conversation went like this: you cannot handle this on your own,
mhm.
and I cannot handle you this way. So me and your son will leave, or you will go get help tomorrow morning.
Right.
I went and got help.
Yeah,
So
and it's
that
a
that
good
that
thing that was your bottom, right? Your rock bottom that finally woke you up and said, "All right, shit, I need to go."
No, no.
Oh
Well,
no.
I've had a few bottoms. I mean, getting out of the military, that was a bottom. That was probably
Mm,
my late. That was the latest bottom. Was when I got out and was like, well, what am I going to do? Yes, doc.
When you get forced out of something that you love doing, think of it this way. For us dumb American males, we define ourselves by what we do.
Right.
And when that is taken away from us, it's like somebody took our balls off
mhm.
Oh yeah.
in plain fucking English. And
Yeah.
it's emotionally devastating. It brings
Yeah.
up feelings, depression, anxiety, being traumatized, but the biggest one of all, it brings up feelings of intense shame. And
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, gentlemen, shame is the hardest emotion of them all to face, especially
Yeah.
for us guys.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So, so we decided to put that purpose into action.
Yeah.
Um, I got out. I started working with nonprofits. Some of the nonprofits were doing what they said they were going to do. Some of them were not. So I started vetting nonprofits, and we started We Are SFH, which was just supposed to be a clothing and apparel brand. As you said, SFH stands for Still Fucking Here. Um, Tyler died on the table at least a dozen times before they stopped counting. So my best friend, co-founder, is the first triple amputee to survive first American triple amputee to survive
Yeah.
Afghanistan. Um, and he talks about the visible wounds. I talk about the invisible wounds, and we now do a road show with our clothing and apparel. And if they want us to talk, we share our story, and we help try to like give that roadmap, like I said. And that's our goal. We got tired of seeing these nonprofits not doing what they do. So 50% merch of our merch sales goes to a individual or nonprofit in need. So that's how we're giving back.
Oops, sorry about that.
There you
No,
go.
yeah, it's amazing, and I love what you guys do over there at Still Fucking Here. We're Still Fucking Here. Like I said, when you guys invited me onto the to y'all's podcast, and that's how. Not to give away y'all's secrets, but that was the first question y'all hit me with, man,
Yeah.
and it's I think it's a very powerful message when you ask someone, what does it mean to still fucking be here, right? And because
Well,
that it
you would
means
ask me that question 6 years ago. I would have told you I don't want to be here.
yeah, right, absolutely.
So it's golden. It's
It is.
great. It's great to actually want to be here again. And it's great to be able to get out there and tell everyone, look, if something's going on with you, you got a freaking broken arm, you're not going to take forever to go get it fixed and get a cast on it, right? Why are
Mhm.
you doing it with your mental health? Too many of us did that for way too long. Stop doing it.
Right.
Get out there and get yourself taken care of. So
Yeah, so we definitely here at Two Ducks and a Grunt uh want everyone to go in and show their love and support to We Are SFH, as they give back to nonprofits in order to help veterans uh, that are dealing with these demons that come upon us due to our service, right? And our
that's
so
right.
yeah.
Well, yeah, there's always somebody out there for you to reach out to. 988 is a great resource.
Hmm.
There are Don't ever think that you're in a struggle alone,
Right.
because I allowed myself to get stuck in that mind frame that I'm the only one that can understand my problems. I have to take care. No. Um, and keep searching for what works. If something doesn't
Hmm.
work, that doesn't mean give up. Keep searching for something that works, because it took me a long time to find what helped me. I used medical cannabis. I've went over different medications. I've did the SGB shot. Hell, they did lasers into my brain at one point. So just keep going until something works for you. There's an answer.
Absolutely.
I can jump in and say, to take that idea, I tell all my people, they ask, how am I supposed to recover? And I'll look them right in the eye and
Only you
say,
know that.
you you can't be afraid to it has to be a creative process because one size does not fit all. Don't look for one answer for Christ's sakes. Look for a bunch of answers, a bunch of ideas, but also one of the joys about post-traumatic stress as well as addiction is that it's a constantly moving target.
Yeah.
Reworded. And Louise has heard me say this before. The wolf is always at the door.
Hmm.
Getting back to the idea of one's own personal recovery, something may work for a while, but don't assume that it's going to work for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
It's not like those bullshit crock pot commercials from the 70s when I was a kid, where the slogan was, set it and forget it. You can't do
I
that
actually
shit
did a
when it
video
gets
on
to
that.
post-traumatic stress.
That's why I'm laughing. I
Yep.
was talking about how the easy, 15-minute trauma cure and all that kind of stuff. I did a little video about that. I was like, no. I was like, you'll feel better maybe for a minute, but it ain't gonna last, I promise.
Right,
True
right.
work is what makes it last. And it's a constant
Let's
battle. It's
see here.
constant work.
15
What's that?
minutes and you feel better for 1 minute. Sir,
Yes,
I
that.
congratulate you. You've just described masturbation. I couldn't be
Exactly.
happier.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, you're right, and it's unfortunately, so Doc Berry had mentioned to you before we went online that we were at the APA convention. So that stands for the
Uh-huh.
American Psychological Association, and so one of the discussions that I went to was on, and they titled it something like TikTok and mental health, something like that, right? But they talked about just social media in general, all platforms, um, and they talked kind of what you were saying, right? How nowadays you'll click on a video and it'll say, "Oh, do this and do this," and your mental health will be so great for your mental health, and I think it's put a lot of false um expectations out there in the world. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think it's getting to a point where people are saying, "Well, that's bullshit. So all of mental health is bullshit."
Well,
No, like
because Americans love their quick fix. But guess
yes, yeah,
what? There's no quick fix when it comes to mental health. Sorry.
that instant gratification, right?
Yeah. We
Yeah,
we there isn't one. I'm sorry. We can't Americanize mental health.
no,
Sorry.
no, absolutely, you're
You know what I
100%
mean?
correct. Yeah, and it does take work. It takes a lot of work to 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 build yourself into a better version than what you want or what you might feel that you're living right now. I
And just to
think,
stay there.
mhm. I think
Yeah, and just
even
to stay there.
even people that we might not assume might deal with a mental health struggle, right? But they've become very successful, right? So I mean,
Right.
I don't know. I'm just talking shit out of my ass, but I don't know. Let's say Bill Gates, right? Say Bill
Mhm.
Gates has never dealt with PTSD, anxiety, depression, right? He still worked really hard to become a billionaire, and he works really hard to stay a billionaire. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It wasn't a 15-minute video that allowed him to become a billionaire. So if you
Nope.
want to live a good life, you have to work really hard on living a good, healthy life, man. And but at the same time, it's when you're in the mud, right? When you're in the thick of it, man, you just don't. Sometimes you just don't feel that you have the energy to
Yeah.
to
No,
put
I
into
hear
that.
you.
You know, it can get really hard.
Oh, there were times that well, why am I trying? Is anyone else trying? Like you just get yourself. Well, nobody else is helping me. You just get that in your head, and it's like, why am I even thinking this way? It still happens from time to time, even now. I mean, it's just like, you'll know the smell of burning flesh till the day that I pass, so that when meat hits the grill a certain way, I cringe a little bit. So stuff like that. It's just, I mean, it's in nature for us, but we don't have to continue to suffer, and we definitely don't need to do it in silence.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And talking about keeping up this good fight and not doing it in silence, and now you all have built up this community around SFH. Um, you said you collaborate with other nonprofits. Is there anything in coming up here in the near future that you
Oh, I'm
guys
glad you
got going
asked.
on?
Yeah. Well, Ty and I are going to the Tampa Lightning preseason game to represent all of the current serving and veterans for that game for the national anthem on Tuesday. We are speaking at the First Marine Division Association in Central Florida on the 20th of October, and then we are headed to Alabama to meet up with some other veterans that are multiple different nonprofits. I don't know if you've heard of Dude in the Jeep, Coop and Mike, um, Bad Habit Candle Company. Um, we're getting together on November 9th, and everyone's welcome in Alabama. And you can find that flyer both on our Facebook page and our TikTok page, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we've got coming up. We don't usually do anything in December, and then we start back in January. 2026 schedule. We're of course taking anyone wants us to come. If you have a nonprofit and love to come out and speak, sell our merch. All the merch that is sold on that day, 50% of the merch sales will go back to that nonprofit organization that we're there with. And yeah, that's what's going on.
Right on. And so all these other nonprofits, they can contact you guys through either social media, Facebook or TikTok, or on the actual website, wearesfh.com, correct?
Yeah, if they prefer email, info@wearesfh.com, and we'll get right back to them.
Right on, right on.
Yeah, man.
As far as you were talking about earlier about the anger, which
hmm
is the most common, one of the most common emotions experienced by guys
Well,
coming
one of my
back
therapists said it
from the
was the
bush.
only emotion I had for a while.
Right. Yep. And
No,
I'm going to
honestly,
riff
that was
off.
what my therapist told me.
I'm going to riff off that though. I'm going to try to widen out the idea.
Okay.
I wonder though, seriously, if anger isn't because with us dumb American males, it's okay for us to show no emotion, to be laughing our asses off, or to explode.
hmm
Anything else is verboten. So if
Right.
that is true, then I wonder if the anger is really a reformulation of tears and crying. Do with that what you will. The first thing. The second thing is I would never, ever presume to say to anybody, you don't have a right to be angry because of what you've seen. I would never say that. But what I would
Oh, I
say
hear
to
you.
them is, you don't have the right, do not have the right ever to take it out on anybody.
Take it out on
Mhm.
anybody else. Absolutely.
Right?
You keep that inside, because I mean, and the thing is it goes back to loving yourself too, because that's one of the biggest things with healings too, is you got to start liking yourself before you can
Mhm.
actually heal, and it goes back to that as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and as you're doing things that you know, I guess maybe if you were in a right state of mind, you wouldn't do them, right? Because they go against maybe your
Absolutely.
morals or your ethics, whatever it is, right? Whatever your compass says is morally right and morally wrong, you
But when
do.
you're in that spiral, you
Yeah,
do it all. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have the best time of my life for the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, then you
Yeah,
just hate yourself even more for it, right?
so much.
Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness.
But we've all been there.
Yeah.
We've all been our worst critic, and if we haven't, then you need to find a better critic.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
So
We need to find a better critic. Damn it,
there
man.
you go.
Leave my mother out. No, leave my mother out of this.
There you go. So mine was a really good critic. So
But Doc, hit us with a thought provoking question. You've heard enough.
who's heard enough?
Doc Barry, because I know
Well,
him, right? I know he's absorbing all this information, right? And
Mhm.
so I know he has something in store for us to to keep these gears going. What's a good
What you
thought
got,
provoking
Doc?
question
sure.
we got for Lance?
What's the biggest surprise you've gotten out of your recovery? When you
Mm.
decided to say, fuck this, I'm going to do something about it. What's the biggest, fattest, hairiest, hugest thing that
A
came to you
relationship
that
with my
you
child.
never anticipated? Oh, right. Good. Go ahead.
Relationship with my
Expand on that.
child. Yeah, absolutely. So my oldest is 18, so he saw the good, the bad, and the ugly, and to the point that he was afraid of me in his younger years, uh, just because dad was loud.
Hmm.
And when I got out and started healing, I realized that my kid was 8 years old and I didn't know anything about him. And I changed that.
No.
And that was a big the biggest thing for me is I have a relation. I don't think I would have had a relationship with my children if it wouldn't be for where I'm at right now. So I that's probably the biggest blessing, to be a good husband to my wife too.
And what you might want to do when we get done with this tonight and it gets fully uploaded, sit down with your son, your wife, whoever, and watch it with them. Now,
All right.
there's a it's a different message when you say to somebody, you need to watch this video, because they'll look at
Right.
you and say, yeah, whatever, fuck off. But but you say to them instead, come here, sit down with me, watch this with me,
Right.
and it promotes discussion and
Yeah.
understanding. Now, I do any one of three basic talks. I do one for first responders, and it's called the Old Chief Talk. For veterans, it's called the Old Veteran Talk. And I
Mhm.
do another one that's psychoanalytically based. It's kind of leaning more toward academic. It's a little dry. But when I do these kinds of things, I do not barf up any of the nonsense out of the DSM-5. I do not use clinical vernacular. I do not use verbal flatulence, with official jargon.
Right.
I'm a storyteller. And when I say a storyteller is I include all the symptomology of post-traumatic stress without all the $10 words. Instead, I tell stories. And really what I'm doing is I'm telling stories about the people who are listening to me do this sort of thing. And it's a hell of
Mhm.
a thing to be in a room full of hardened first responders or hardened combat veterans. And when I'm done, their heads are bowed. They're either in tears or very close to it. And what happens then is instead of just getting up and walking out, they turn to each other and they start talking. And that's
Yep.
how I know I've done my job. Furthermore, afterward, they come up, shake my hand, still in tears. I get handshakes. I get bear hugs. I get bro hugs. I get challenge points. But then the wives and the kids, if they're old enough to come hear the whole thing, will come up and say, now I understand my dad a lot better. Thank
Yeah.
you. So getting back to the original point, throw him this. And also, if you like, I sent a friend request on Facebook. I hope that's okay. I can
Absolutely.
send you the old chief talk and the old veteran talk, and sit
I'd
down with
love
your
to look
people
at
and
it.
share it with them.
Yeah. I'd love to look at it.
And
So
It's a
and
good message, brother.
I'm all about more knowledge. I mean, that's how we keep, we keep things going. We have to continue to educate ourselves and keep ourselves witty in a way, I guess you would say. So,
right.
Now,
And stories tend to be a lot more impactful and substantive as opposed to a clinical narrative, which is
yes, sir.
dry and academic.
mhm.
I mean, I got
Absolutely.
to. What we got to do is wake people up. We don't want to put them to sleep.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Now, looking back now, right after years of recovery, years of working on yourself, uh, and you said in my healing, I've been able to build a relationship with my kids, mainly your oldest, right?
My
Your oldest
oldest,
son,
yeah.
but also build a healthier, better relationship with my wife. Can Because like we said earlier, just because we decide to want to live a better life doesn't mean the next day we wake up and everyone's living this healthier, better life. Can you
Oh no.
talk to us a little bit about what that road has been like to develop that relationship, especially with your son, right? Because he was so
Well,
little when
with
when he
yeah,
saw
no.
dad doing all of that, right? That led him to, like
Yeah,
you said,
no, the
to a point of maybe a little bit of fright, a little bit of
yeah.
scared of you, right?
Yeah, a
To
little
now
bit of
having
fear.
the relationship you guys have now. How has that road looked for you guys? Because I would imagine it's not always
It
smooth, right?
was
It's
Oh, it was definitely not smooth initially. It's pretty smooth at this point, but definitely was not smooth uh initially because the family was guarded and they needed to be. So it was convincing them to let their guards down to even let me in. Uh was the first step, was to prove that okay, you can lighten up a little bit and let your guards down a little bit. I'm not as unhinged as I once was, I guess you would say. Uh, and just, I mean, I started with casual conversations, just showing or sitting by him while I watched cartoons or just something, just being in the room with him or something, and then it just led to conversation. And my wife's always been a trooper. It's she's always, you know, been in my corner no matter what. Uh, but to now be able to go on date night and enjoy it, go somewhere. Hell, I hadn't danced with my wife for over 7 years when I finally slow danced with her for the first time back 5 years ago. Stuff like that. So thank you.
Let me blow something else past you here
Go ahead.
regarding trauma and addiction. And there's an interesting bridge between the two. When a person is truly addicted to pick a substance, all right,
Right.
drugs, alcohol, emotional development stops.
Yeah.
Conversely, when a person has been physically traumatized repeatedly past a certain point, and it's different for everybody, again, the phenomena is the same. Emotional development stops. So I would invite you at some point, reflecting back on those 10 years, ask yourself at any given point, how old was I chronologically? But
Right.
also, how old was I emotionally during the
Right.
worst years of my life? And I think you're going to find out, I'll just make up a number. Yeah, I was chronologically 25, but I was really about 14.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And there's an unbelievably pissed off kid in so many combat veterans. And I blew this idea, by the way, past retired Master Gunny I've known for 20 years.
Uh-huh.
And he said, you know, now that you mention it, he said, and he was in his 40s when I first met him. He says, I do still feel like a 17-year-old grunt, and I'm 47 years of age. And I'm like, so these are the kinds of discussions we have to have. And the other thing is when you can feel, hey, that's my son.
Hey, buddy.
Um, when you feel yourself in any given circumstances getting wild, angry, sad, whatever, if you can open up a space in your head to say, why am I feeling this way right now? And am I starting to regress? That's your new big psychology term.
This is
And I
what I have
expect you
started.
to,
Yep, that's exactly
good,
what I've
good,
started doing.
good. Am I
And I wake
regressing
up
in the moment? So,
and
yeah,
I
go
wake
ahead.
up
You
every
get the,
morning. I wake up every morning saying it's a good day to have a great day, Eh, whether it is or not. It's a good day to have a great day. You make the best of it. So, and that's how I try to do every day. And like I said, by trying to help one, whether I do or not, doesn't matter. I know I tried. And that ripple
Right.
effect is going to happen. And more
right.
healing is going to happen by helping that one person. So yeah.
You know, in
Yeah,
build building a stronger relationship with your wife, you said, I found myself, man, I took her slow dancing for the first time in 7 years. I took her on a date night and actually enjoyed it, right?
Yeah.
I think the common theme that I hear a lot with anyone that might feel their marriage is in a hard spot, right? I don't want to say like at the end of it, divorce. All
Right.
marriages go through their rough
Oh yeah.
spots, right? Um, is man, just start dating each other again. Do
Oh
the
yeah.
things, do
We
the
do.
thing, do the
We have
things
day
that,
night. We have date night every week, every
yeah,
Friday. That's date night.
yeah, do the things that you did when you were first trying to wound them, right, and to make
Yeah.
them fall in love with you. You just start doing that, man, and you'll realize how your relationship with your spouse or your significant other, right, um, will
Absolutely.
flourish, man. Will
Absolutely.
because we get stuck in this rut. You know what I mean? It's just life, right? We've been
It's just
married,
like yeah, yeah. You just
10
get stuck in
years.
that rut of life. Yeah.
Yeah, we've
Exactly.
been married 10 years, 15 years. You know, what can we do to, you always hear that spice up the relationship. Man, just go on a date, do date nights again. You know
Yeah,
what I
exactly.
mean?
When's the last time you actually left the house and your wife was able to put on something nice? Oh, it's
Hmm.
been a while? Then get her out of the house.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
wants to dress up. She's not telling you, but she wants to do
Hmm.
it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
So,
Take your kids out, man, to the even as simple as going out to the park, you know what I mean? Doesn't
yeah,
You don't have to spend money and take them, to buy extravagant things or amusement parks, man. You got a local park down the street. You'll be amazed at how, taking your child there, you know, once or twice a week after school and just spending an hour there, y'all two together, can rebuild that relationship, right?
that's bonding.
Or help build that relationship that I think all
Absolutely.
of us, most of us parents in our mind have, that the type of parent that we want to be, right? To
Right.
be included in our children's lives, to be someone that our children value in their life, right? Because um, just
Absolutely.
like you, Lance, I got,
Uh,
my oldest child is 27, 28. My youngest one is 6, right?
yeah.
And I can see the big difference of all my kids. So 27, yeah, he's 27, 24, will be 24 here shortly. And then our daughter just turned 18. We actually have our birthday dinner here tonight after we're done with this.
Very
Um,
nice.
and then and then we have a 16-year-old son, and then 6. So all of my kids, and kind of in those bunch. So my older ones, my 20-year-olds, got the worst of dad. They got
Yeah.
the whole Navy career, drunken, um, divorced with their first with their
Right.
not their first mom, but their only mom, but divorced
Right.
with
I
my
know what you
first
meant.
wife, right? Divorced
Yeah.
their mom, um, and saw dad, deal with his suicide attempt. My teenagers, um, got maybe 8 years of drunken dad, you know, um, and they got the whole suicide attempt dad and now recovery dad, right? And now Phoenix has never known that person, and
Right.
and in my perfect world that I like to create in my mind, I would
Right.
hope that he never meets that
Yeah.
that dad,
And the same with
but
my younger one, with my 14-year-old, is he was younger. He was 3, 4 when I was getting out, when I
mm,
was finally getting a little better, I guess you would say.
yeah. So
Yeah.
he doesn't have many core memories of that
Right.
other version of dad, right?
Right.
But I can definitely see the relationship difference between, if you want to group my kids into those three different categories like I have, I can see the different relationship dynamics
Mhm.
that I created, not them.
Yep.
They were just innocent children that the only thing that they were asked for in life was to not have a shitty fucking dad, man. And
Right.
unfortunately, they got dealt those cards for a while. And so I can definitely see that difference, and I can see how my relationship with my kids all have a different dynamics as far as the level of
Absolutely,
trust.
but I also think that every child's different too.
Mhm,
So there's that too. But yeah, I hear what you're saying is you can feel the difference in the ones that didn't have to see you in that
mhm.
light. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if you
absolutely.
think about it, my oldest, I got sober in July 8th of 2018. Yes, so
Hmm.
7 years ago. Dude, 20 years of his fucking life, right? Is he
Yeah,
knew that ugly, nasty version of myself.
yeah,
It wasn't always all ugly and nasty, but what do us, like you said earlier, right? What do us humans, we we retain the negative stuff,
oh
right?
yeah,
Because that's also how we survive. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And so, but anywho, um, yeah. So I'm sure, like you said, even you can see that within your kids. Well, I don't know, because your
I
oldest.
With the oldest, I don't know if you do this, but with the oldest, I actually have conversations with him
Mhm,
about past me,
yeah.
and about how much he recalls or remembers. And really, the thing he remembers is that I was not a happy person.
Mhm.
Um, and that now he sees me happy and he sees his mom happy, and that means the world to him, type deal. He also grew up on the spectrum as well, so
Okay.
it was a little bit different upbringing with that as well. So, but he's doing great. He's a full time student and working almost full time because nobody can stay at Subway evidently. So, but no, I'm proud of him, and he does. He has conversations with me now
Yeah.
that, "Dad, you remember when you used to be?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, is that gone?" I was like, "He's still there, but hopefully it's gone."
Does does that make you cringe?
Sometimes,
Yeah,
yeah.
same.
Yeah, sometimes, because 'cause I'm like, "No, but I know that he's still there and that he can come back." So
Yeah.
I yeah,
So
oh, yeah.
just like you, me and my especially my oldest one, because he joined the Navy as well and was a DC man. And so,
I do remember that.
yeah. So, and he's dealt with his own suicidal ideations and things like that. And we've spoken a lot more now, especially after he became a father, and our
Right.
relationship has grown a lot more. And so I know sometimes I'll bring stuff up just because we're conversing about something. I'll be like, "Oh, do you remember this time?" And I know he's not bringing it up to throw it in my face,
Right.
but it's still
Exactly.
it hurts me inside. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, "Fuck!" Like,
Yeah, it's like, "Yes, I do, but I really wish you didn't still
yeah,
remember it." That's
there
what it
you
feels
go.
like.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
a
I'm
hundred
well
percent.
aware, but man, it hurts to know that you still remember
That's
that.
man.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
You just hit it
Exactly.
right on the head, dude. That I think
Uh-huh.
that's where the pain for me comes from,
Absolutely.
is
Absolutely.
because if you're sharing this with me, what aren't you sharing that you remember? You know what I'm saying?
But you
That
have to let them share because they're sharing with you.
100%.
Because they want to, and they want clarity.
Hmm.
And so it's tough.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But what I mean is, like, if they're sharing this, is there other things that they're not sharing? You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and those are what are the things that as well kind of hurt me too. Is like, man, what other pains have I caused that they just haven't shared with me yet? Because I'll be honest, a lot of my drunken and even drug using nights like were blackout events.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I mean? So unless
Yeah.
someone tells me, hey, this happened and you did this,
Yep.
and I would hate, well, I wouldn't say I would hate, but I would, if they're comfortable one day to share things with me that I don't remember. I just, that to me, like, we always say the unknown, always
Right.
causes a lot of pain. So to think that they're holding or they're living with things that I might have done, or maybe your kids might as well too, right? Holding things
Yeah.
that they haven't said.
Well, like
And
my
also
oldest
could,
share, my oldest shares more with his mom than he does with me because he was the one that for many
100%,
years couldn't share anything but with their mom. So,
100%.
so that's understandable. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a dagger to the to the soul when
Yeah.
they bring it up because it's like I remember all these bad things I once did, but
Hmm.
why I really wish you didn't have that memory.
Hmm.
And that's what makes us cringe is that they have that memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right, man. Absolutely right with that. And so, yeah, wonder what happened with Doc
If we
Berry
lose
Pie.
Doc,
Yeah, yeah. He's
hope
old
everything's
too.
okay.
Yeah, he's old too, so he probably had to go use the restroom or something like that.
Yeah, no worries. He's gonna be
uh,
like, "Yeah, I'm gonna cut that out. That was me."
yeah. So, earlier when we first came on, I was like, I love what you're doing with your own personal page on TikTok, and I think you're on day like 28, just sharing
Oh
stories.
yeah.
What led you on that path to
Oh
say, you know
man.
what, every day for
Yeah.
this month?
So what happened again? Ty told me he's like, dude, you have all this knowledge and you have all of these stories that we tell it, but we can't tell it to everybody. He's like, why don't you put some of them on TikTok?
Hmm.
Because Ty's all over TikTok.
Yeah.
So I
His
so
McNubb talks.
yeah, yeah. So he's like, so he was the one that encouraged me to do it, and he's like, and I was like, dude, don't nobody want to hear a 40-plus-year-old dog's struggle with PTSD and TBI. And I put it up there and 200 people liked it. And I was like, well, okay. What I'll do now is I'll do a month of PTSD awareness. And if there's no growth, I'm not doing this TikTok anymore. Tyler's like, okay. So 28 days in, there's been growth, a lot of it. So
That's
I guess I'm
okay.
gonna keep doing TikTok, but I don't know what I'm gonna do next month.
Right, right, right. It's hard, right? It's hard to come up
Yes,
with different.
absolutely.
That's why I give it up to what I consider like true content creators, man, that just
Yeah.
put stuff out there and grow their platform and but
And
also,
they have all the props and all this and all that. I ain't
mhm,
got time for that. You're gonna
right.
see me sitting at my desk and I'm gonna tell you what I think about things.
Yeah. No, no. And well, you know what? That also you growing in such a way, right? In the last 28 days by putting out your stories,
Mhm.
about PTSD and whatnot. To me speaks that there's still a lot of people that want to hear this message, right? The message
Absolutely.
of mental health, of recovery, and b that not only is there people that want to hear it, but that there's people that need to hear it,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
and to be able to spread that around as much as we can, man, is great. And like I said, man, I just have enjoyed what you've been doing the last 28 days on your platform and watching it
Yeah.
grow.
But
And
what am I gonna do next month?
yeah, I know. And definitely, I'm also very grateful to the times you
I
have
can't
tagged
I
me
can't
to help
I
spread
can't
that
talk
word.
about the boobies for 30 days. I like boobies, but 30 days is a long time. So it is breast cancer awareness month. That's where I'm coming from.
Oh yeah, in October.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What you got, Doc? I think you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Speaking of movies and showing how the times have changed, all right, I'm the resident old fart in this discussion, which is to say, I grew up in the generation where our fathers and grandfathers were Depression survivors as well as World War II, the greatest generation. So, of course, I was fed a steady stream of World War II combat movies and stories. Okay.
Mhm.
These are the stories that made me want to enlist. Made so many of us in our generation want to enlist. Now, heroic, patriotic, testosterone, etc. Now, were those movies when we were kids growing up in the 60s and the 70s and a little bit of the 80s, were those movies talking about post-traumatic stress disorder? Oh, hell no. It wasn't shown. It wasn't discussed at all openly. But now movies are coming out
They are.
which it would where they do discuss it openly. I mean, in Saving Private Ryan, which came out in 1993, I believe,
Hmm.
Tom Hanks' character, Captain Miller, he is clearly symptomatic with the hand
Yes,
tremors, and he
absolutely.
has to step away from his men and shed tears and whatnot, and then go back to the job. Thank God Steven Spielberg is very open and honest about this. So back then, the point I'm trying to make when we were kids, talking about it was the exception. Now it's the rule.
Right.
Hallelujah.
Absolutely.
Hundred
Well,
percent.
because men were taught to keep it all, especially men, were taught to keep it all down and keep it all bottled up inside. We're not allowed to have feelings. We're the breadwinners. We're bringing home the bacon.
Hmm.
No, we don't have feelings. We're just a workhorse.
Right.
So and
Or even, or even better, you get some of the real hard hits who say it doesn't exist. PTSD doesn't exist. I'm like, oh, really?
yes, absolutely.
And that, and
Oh, I've
it's a
heard
lot of
that
fun
every
when I
speaking
can,
engagement.
when I can. Okay, I'll give you a weapon to use against these kinds of troglodytes. Um, I'm sure we've all heard the name Audie Murphy before,
Mhm.
the most decorated soldier of World War II. Obviously, anybody with half a brain is going to admire the hell out of him for his service record. And when he is in his full regalia, you don't see any uniforms. All you see are decorations. He's a human Christmas tree.
Gotcha.
But, but what a lot of people don't know is he knew something was really wrong when he came back, sleeping with a load of 45 under his pillow, getting violent with his wife because
Hmm.
she rolled over one night and he thought she was obviously an attacking
Yep.
German or whatever. Drinking apparently too much, gambling, and so he knew something was horribly wrong. So what he was doing was he said he was petitioning Congress at that time when we don't talk about these kinds of things,
Right.
s- s- talking so openly about how screwed up he was emotionally, and so many guys he also served with were also screwed
Yeah.
up. I admire that about that man as much as, if not even maybe a little more, than what he did to earn all of those decorations because he was running against the wind back then. He spoke out about that sort of thing when you weren't supposed to. But he was one of the earliest advocates for this sort of thing.
Right.
So the next time one of these specimens hits you over the head with "it doesn't exist," you say to him, "Do you ever hear the name Audie Murphy?" And then you say to him what I've just said to you. It usually shuts him down pretty quick.
There you go. Like it.
Yeah. Talking about movies. One movie that I've, and not recently, probably within the last 15 years, that I've kind of re-examined, was Rambo: First Blood. Because
Hmm.
remember, I mean, he comes home from Vietnam, has lost Medal of Honor recipient, lost his buddies, and when the colonel's like, "John, what the fuck are you doing?" He clearly states, "There's guts everywhere. It wasn't supposed to be like this." And every time I close my eyes, it's just there. And
Yep.
uh, and now that I look back at it now through a different lens,
Yep.
right? I see the
And
impact that that story really has.
yeah, at the beginning of every Rambo is talking about his PTSD. That's the reason why he would rather be in combat than have to live in society.
Right, or
It's a
live in
real thing.
isolation, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but there's so many of us that choose to choose that isolation, but that's not living. Man, I feel so bad for those guys because they're not living their life. They're just settling
Yeah,
until they die, and that just doesn't seem right to me.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
You know,
sorry.
they're not living, they're existing. That's the
There you
first
go. They're
thing. The
Right.
just
second thing is,
yeah,
um, it just, and I'm about to speak very, very generally. When we're kids and we learn in fourth, fifth grade what a Silver Star is, what a Bronze Star is, what a Navy Cross is, what a Medal of Honor is. We think that the higher level that these men are mythical, these men are gods, these
Right.
men are heroes. And what we find out later is they, I personally, and Luis and I have had this discussion many times. I don't think heroes as thought really exist, but I do
Right.
think common men and women are capable of unbelievably heroic acts. So the reason why I'm mentioning this is from everything Luis has told me over the years about his own fight up the hill. What I have slowly begun to learn is the higher level those decorations are, it seems to me, the more of an emotional price is paid by the wearer of those decorations.
You're probably onto something there, Doc. Probably onto something.
well, I think and I'm sure y'all have heard this as well, right? And it comes to almost any level of award, uh, whether it's uh, a Navy Achievement Medal or Army Achievement Medal with the Combat Distinguishing Device. It used to be the V for Valor. Now
Right.
they have like a C for Combat, R for like Remote or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay.
all, yeah, it's changed. It changed like about a year after I retired, 2 years. Anywho, and the
Gotcha.
reason is because they were trying to figure out, and rightfully so. I agree with this thought process. Is we give a drone pilot, someone that's sitting in the United States, right?
Yep.
3,500 miles away from the combat zone, and rightfully so, has flown that drone, dropped armament, right, to disable a unit to save the lives of other American troops. Rightfully so, like you should deserve an award, but there
Mhm.
were like, how do we distinguish the combat on the ground combat valor from now where we have like warfare via drones,
Gotcha.
cyber, things like that. And so that's where it came out,
Gotcha.
was kind of to distinguish a little. But anywho, before that, right, when we had like the valor, even now you see the ones with the C, um is it's the just human nature to want to inquire, right? Oh wow, what did you do that made you be awarded the an achievement medal or commendation medal with valor or bronze star or silver star, the opportunities that you get to meet a a service cross recipient, right? Many
Right.
branches of service, and then very few times you meet a medal of honor recipient, right? I think it's almost second nature for us to ask, and I have to sometimes stop myself because, hey, not just because you wear it doesn't mean you always want to talk about it, but I get to meet a lot of these men on a
Yeah.
regular basis, and I
Yeah.
still it's like, dude, tell me your story. You know what I mean? And I think it's just human nature to have that, to be inquisitive about that. What forgetting that what that medal was awarded for wasn't because we walked in a rose garden, you know what I mean, and everyone came out alive, and everyone came out pretty on the other side. It was awarded because a lot of great men sacrificed a lot more than most of us will ever understand,
Absolutely.
you know what I
Absolutely.
mean. And it's always that retelling of it, right? And so obviously the higher the award is, the greater cost of human life has come with it, and I always say this, I can only speak about myself. um I learned that going to like AA and shit like that, right? Can't
Mhm.
speak for everyone, just speak about yourself. Just I
Right.
statements. But no, for me personally, um, I never wanted to be that asshole to tell someone like, oh, just Google it, or you know what I'm saying, or that, like, because I can also understand looking from the other person's perspective is, even if I do it and I were a service cross and I do it, I definitely understand that a young E1, E2, E3 that just coming into the service and has the 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 privilege to serve
Right.
alongside someone that's been awarded a valorous medal, to have that genuine curiosity of, man, Price, what the fuck did you do? What, dude, can you tell me? And I
Yeah.
think you're just like me too, brother. You wouldn't sit there and be like, oh, don't worry about it. It was, just go do your job. I'm sure you sit there and be like, all
Which
right,
part do you want to know?
right, right.
Where
But
do
we
you
all
want me to start?
but we also build our story that way too, right?
Yes.
We know how to, like if one person asks me, oh, Luis, blah blah blah, depending on our relationship, it's not that you're going to get a different version of the story. You might just get a
It
very
might be a
condensed.
little it's either going to be a little more watered down, it's going to be a
Mhm,
little more condensed, because I'm not as comfortable sharing those key
mhm.
details with you as I would be with others.
Right. Absolutely.
I'll give you a
Abs-
story though.
yeah, I'll give you a story, right? Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, anywho, I think, a lot of that just, um, yeah, the higher the award, the deeper the Doc Bear said this a lot, the first cut is always the deepest.
Oh
And
yeah,
I think that with the awards as well too, right?
it's
The
fact.
higher the award comes with the deeper cut.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
definitely.
saying? And and it takes a lot
Everybody's like,
of
"Woo wee! Look at that pretty shiny thing on his
mm,
chest and everything." They don't think about what it took to get that pretty shiny thing on his chest.
mhm. Yeah, and they also don't think about, and as cliche as it sounds, like I said, I just very privileged that I get to meet a lot of our
Right.
cross recipients, and a few of our Medal of Honor recipients, liver recipients, right? Um, but if I would ever speak for that group of people, those individuals that had those awards, I would say 99% of us would always tell you, man, take this motherfucker back. Just bring back all of my brothers, all of my sisters, and take away these
Fix
nightmares,
my
these demons.
brain.
Yes, fix my brain.
Just suck that stuff out, yo.
Yeah.
If only we could.
I did say that once. I think I was a E4 at the time. It was very early when I got awarded the Navy Cross. Shortly
Yeah,
after,
you were E4. Yeah, you were E4.
a couple of years later, a young corpsman, probably E1, E2, was like, "Oh my gosh, you're HM3 Fonseca." I was like, "Yeah," and they said something along the lines of, "It must be so cool to be a Navy Cross recipient, or it must be like something along those lines, right? It must be so awesome or so cool, or I wish I was a Navy Cross recipient." I think is what they said, something like
Mm.
that. And I told him that. I said, I would gladly give it to you. You just have to take all the nightmares, all of the demons, and you have to bring all of my
Give me
18
my
brothers
brothers
back.
back. Yeah.
And he is it Dimit? And he just stood there with his jaw open, like, holy shit. And I think he understood. And I
Yeah.
think that's been like the only real time I've ever told anyone that way, because I
Right.
just saw the impact that it made on him. But yeah, no.
No.
When
Definitely.
I've been fortunate enough to meet some of these folks with higher decorations, thanks to everything Luis and so many of others have taught me.
Mhm.
They have that expression on their face, like, what story is he going to want to hear? And
Mhm.
Yeah.
finally, I try to surprise him, and I'll say, "Hey, man, how you feeling?"
Right.
And you can watch their blood pressure go down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So kind of like how we started this. I'm like, okay, where do you want to begin?
Right.
Because with my brain, it jumps all over the place. So you guys kind of keep me on schedule, or we're going to be all over the place, and I apologize.
No, I think all of us are. That's why we have Doc Bear. He's the only sane one in here, man. The rest of us are fucked up, and we all go all over the place, dude. So, but
Doc
We
Barry
have
said we're in real trouble.
we have about 10 minutes left, and we like to just use these last 10 minutes, Lance, to for you to speak openly about anything that you feel we might have missed. I know we already spoke about we are SFH. If there's anything else that we missed in there that you want to speak about, um, do your plugs or whatever before we wrap up tonight's show.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I mean, the main thing is, and I mean, it's what Ty and I based our platform on is never stop seeking the help that you need to be able to live a full and productive life.
Mm.
Um, because there is an answer out there for everyone. And if you want to learn more about what we do at We Are SFH, you can find us at wearesfh.com. Has all of our events, has our past events in there. Has we do great motivation on Facebook. If you follow us on Facebook, it's at We Are SFH on most platforms. So I have had a ball sitting here with my fellow medical professionals and just shooting the breeze and sharing my story. I appreciate you guys having me on here, man.
Nah, thank you for coming on, brother. And yeah, anything that we can help to help spread the word on we are still fucking here. The great work that you guys are doing in the veteran community. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out. We would love to help spread y'all's mission as well too. Thank you so much for coming on with us tonight. Um, one of the big takeaways that I took from tonight's episode was when we leave service, a lot of us talk about we miss our brothers and sisters. We miss the community. The community is still here.
Yep.
The community is still here. The only difference is no one is telling you to wake up at 05 in the morning to go drive to the fucking community. Now it's time to be a big boy and a big girl and go to the communities. And like Lance said, one size does not fit all. So just because you might have made contact with one nonprofit, what a healthcare team, or maybe a community of veterans, and you just might not feel at home, doesn't mean that there's not another one out there. That's why so many of us exist. Find your community. I promise you, and I think Lance can also promise you this. Once you find your community, what you feel that you have been missing is there. We
That
are here for
community and
each other.
purpose, man. Community
Yes,
and purpose will get you so far. Go find it, please.
100%, 100%. So with that, Doc Barry, any last words? Yes, you do.
Yep. As far as finding one's own community, uh, being with Nate and Luis, and let's face it, they let me hang around with the cool kids. By by far and away, it's the greatest team I've ever been on. I've ever been privileged to have been to be associated with. That's the first thing. The second thing is, and Luis has heard me say this many times. So what I'm about to say, Lance, is for you and for anybody who's listening to this. When you're starting to experience whatever it may be, the rages, the surfacing memories, the sweats, the anxiety, the depression, and you think you're going crazy. No, you, sir or ma'am, are reacting perfectly normally to an unbelievably abnormal set of circumstances. You, sir or ma'am, are not crazy. You're not weak. You're just in pain. And who the holy hell wouldn't be? We're glad you're here. We're glad you're listening to the sermon of the evening. And let's pay it forward and get more people listening to these kinds of sermons, if you will, which promote discussion. Disclosure breeds disclosure, which is to say, disclosure is the cornerstone of healing. That's all I got.
Awesome. Well, with that, as we wrap up the month of September for Suicide Prevention Month, remember, we are still fucking here.
That's
And I am
right.
glad that you are here with us.
Yeah, we
With that,
want you to stay here.
everyone have a great evening.